Hey guys, this is Licious here from ClimaxCombo, and we are back with another Leaks of the Week. This week we are continuing off with SAO Extra Booster and Idolmaster Movie Booster. Both of those are coming out on the 28th of this week, and Checkers has ordered Idolmaster, or Checkers has ordered SAO 2 Extra Booster, and my friend Domo has pre-ordered 5 Idolmaster Movie Boosters. Those are coming out on Friday. However, do keep in mind they take about a week to ship into America since we ordered them from Japan. So they should be in the first week of December. I really hope we can do it on the first week of December, the openings. But seeing as how we have finals during that time, um, they'll probably be up on the second week of December, unfortunately. But we will do our best to get them up as soon as possible. And yeah, this week also starts the leaks for Contact Collection. Second booster. I believe that comes out mid-December if I recall correctly, so appropriate time for it to come out. Since this week has 3 different series and Idolmaster has gone all out and they've shown a lot of good cards this week, this video is probably going to be very long, so I'll do my best not to make it to keep it short, but I always say that, but they always end up being really long. But with that out of the way, I'll just get right to it. First up is the 00 Silica 1KR Avatar Weapon as per usual. What she does is when she's played from hand to stage, reveal the top card of your deck. If that character is an avatar, or if that card is an avatar or net character, add it to your hand, then discard a card. If it's not, then return that card to its original position. And its last effect is that it is a level 0 Suicider. I think this Suicider is really good. In my opinion, level 0 Suiciders that actually can scale later into the game, cards that aren't level 0 Suiciders that aren't only effective at level 0, I think are really good. And this one is really good because it's a hand filter, and at worst, it's a free top check, which is really good. Like late game, you can check your triggers, and yeah, and mid game you can use it to discard climaxes. Hopefully discard climaxes, and if you don't manage to hit a character, at least you know what you're gonna be triggering. So in general, really like its first effect. And it is a level 0 Suicider. If your series has a level 0 Suicider, you might as well be running 2 to 4 of it because they're good. They get the job done. So, my opinion, I really like the Silica. I think it's better than the Liz Suicider, but yeah, I would just run the Silica Suicider if I was playing SAO. But you can run the 2 together, and I don't think it will be bad. Also, this card is a Silica, so those Silica decks can profit off this level 0 Suicider because yeah, those Silica decks aren't actually that bad, so another upside to this card. Next up, we have this 1/1 Xenon. She's a common. She's a backup. First of all, she's a pay 1 2K backup. However, she is that because she has another effect. You can pay 1. When you use this backup, you must mill the top 3 cards of your deck, and this effect is mandatory. This Mill 3 effect has appeared in other sets already, like Vivid Red Operation has it, and Little Buzzers have it. I'm sure there are other sets with this same effect, but those are the first 2 that pop up to the. Sorry, this is the first. Those are the first 2 series that pop up to the top of my head. The Mill 3 effect can be can save you the game, or it can make you lose the game because as you guys know, backup effects happen before you take damage. So if you're at 3-5, let's say, your opponent hits you for 2, it's kind of just, yeah, you just kind of have to feel it, You can't really know what the top 3 cards of your deck are unless you have a very specific card that does so, or, I don't know, you hack or you cheat. But, so you use this backup, you're taking 2 damage, you're at 3-5. If you mill the top 3 cards of your deck, if the second card was the climax, you just lost yourself the game. Or, you lower the chances of yourself canceling. However, if you do use this backup and you mill the top 3 and they're all characters, then you increase your chance of canceling by a lot. By a lot. So, this card is really just kind of, it's like skill based slash you just kind of have to feel it, you know what I mean? It's just taking a risk. I really like these backups, I think they're really good. However, because SAO has so many backups, they have the 1/0 2K Asuna backup, which is really good and pretty staple. They have the 1/1 Sacrifice event backup. And last week we saw the really good Lifa backup. With all these good backups, will Xenon make the cut? Because Xenon is not guaranteed. Xenon is, she's scary. She can either win you the game or lose you the game. So Xenon, I don't think is mandatory, but I don't think you can go wrong with taking one in your deck. Next up, we have this 00 Hibiki. She is an R, music and animal as per usual. What she does is when your other characters are reversed in battle, choose one of your animal characters and it gets plus 1k power until the end of the turn. If I'm wrong, I don't know if I'm right, but I believe Hibiki is the only animal in the set. So this is kind of based for Hibiki. This card effect is kind of centered around Hibiki decks, and also it's a brainstorm. Pay 1, rest this card, middle top 4 for every climax you hit. Choose one animal character from your waiting room, add it to your hand. This card doesn't really need an analysis. If you're running a Hibiki fan deck, of course run this card. If you're not, don't run it. More brainstorms, and this one is a double R, 00 double R, 1500 music and royalty. When this card is played from hand to stage, look at top card of your deck and either place it on top or bottom of your deck. Its other effect is pay 1, mill 4. For every climax you hit, search your deck up to X music character, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, then shuffle your deck. Then discard X from your hand to the waiting room. X is the number of climaxes amongst those cards. First of all, it is top check, which is good. Brainstorms with other effects are always nice, and this one is pretty good. A top check is nice. However, its brainstorm is a little iffy. The wording on it makes this card not as good as other brainstorms. I'll go over the Kontai one first because it's a perfect example. So this is the first Kontai league we are seeing. 002KR. I'm not gonna say their names. Ship Girl Destroyer. What she does is she's pay 1, mill 4. For every climax amongst those, search your deck for up to one Ship Girl character, show it to your opponent, add it to your hand, then discard one card from your hand and put it to the waiting room. How these cards are worded seems to be very similar, but they're actually very different. So first I'll go over the Kontai one. The Kontai one is kind of your normal brainstorm because every time, let's say you hit for let's say you mill, you hit 2 climaxes. You search one Ship Girl, discard. Search one Ship Girl, discard. That's how this one works. However, the Takane one from Idolmaster, you search out 2 first. You search out the 2 together, and then you discard 2 at the same time. It might not seem like a big deal, but it actually kind of is, because if you're at, let's say you have 4 cards left in your, or let's say you have 5 cards left in your deck. You pay 1, you mill. You hit 2 climaxes. In the Contact Collections case, you hit 2. So you search 1, refresh, discard 1, search 1, discard 1, then refresh damage. However, in Takane's case, you mill 4, you hit 2, you have 1 card left in deck. You must search for all the characters as soon at the same time. So since you only have 1 card in deck, you can only grab 1 character. However, the refresh then happens. But since you have to grab the 2 at the same time, you kind of miss the timing. You can't grab the second one, unlike the Kontai one. However, you must discard 2 still. So in the end, you minus 1 instead of breaking even like you should, like how this one works. So it's actually a pretty big deal. So this Takane is not as good as something like the Kontai one. Kind of sucks, but it only matters when you're going to refresh, I guess. But that happens actually quite a lot. So unfortunate. However, Idolmaster has the producer brainstorm, which is also very good as well. So not that big of a loss, but still kind of sucks. And this card is double R, so this card having that downside is pretty bad. I'm pretty sure that's how it works. If I got that wrong, do please correct me. And I don't really see an upside to search X instead of searching 1 at a time. If there is an upside to this other searching, then do let me know. But as of right now, I can't really think of an upside of this brainstorm having over this one. I think this Kontai brainstorm, or the wording of this Kontai brainstorm, is a lot better than the Idolmaster one. So that's Mondays. Let's go on to Tuesdays. First up is 00 Shinkawa Soichi, 500R. All your other weapon characters gain 500 power, which is good. And then lastly, its other effect is all your opponent's center stage characters gain the target trait. So essentially 500 global, 2 weapon traits, which is most of SAO. but if it's all the Death Gun cards are weapons, so pretty much 500 global for weapons or for Death Guns, and your opponent's front row characters gain target, which is perfect because this is exactly the card that I was hoping they would release for SAO because they have the 2-1 global assist that gives your opponent's back row characters target. So now the Death Gun decks only needed a way to give all your opponent's front row characters target, and this Shinkawa does the job just fine. He's a global 500, and he gives your opponent's front row character all target. In general, this card is amazing. It's staple. I believe if you're running a Death Gun deck, definitely run 4 of him. Next up, we have Death Gun himself. 0035, common, avatar and weapon. During the start of your draw phase, deal 1 damage to yourself. It's not really a downside. At level 0, you really do want to be taking more damage to yourself, so you can hit level 1 faster. That way you can abuse the power gap between level 0s and 1s. I'm sure you guys know the deal by now. So this Death Gun does the job just fine. He doesn't have a downside if he dies. You attack with him, because it happens at the beginning of your draw phase. If your opponent kills him before your next draw phase, doesn't matter, you don't lose anything. But, if he does survive, you take 1 damage, not that big of a deal at level 1. However, starting at level 1, 2, and 3, dealing 1 to yourself is going to be quite painful. Of course, you can get around this by making Death Gun kill himself during your own turn. However, kind of sucks that you can't play him on an open slot to get a direct hit in, because your opponent can just side Death Gun next turn, still resulting in the full amount of damage since he is a level 0. And then at the start of your draw phase, you have to deal 1 damage to yourself. So yeah, in my opinion, not really a good level 0, but he's Death Gun, so he fits the Death Gun theme fine. So I would say just run him in Death Gun decks. In a normal SAO deck, you have better options. Next up, we have this 2-1 Yayoi, 7/5 R, music and frog. When you have 2 or more frog characters, pretty much 2 or more Yayoi, she gains +1 soul. And she has Clock Encore. Honestly, not that good in my opinion. Doesn't gain a power boost, so she's only a wimpy 2-1 7/5. Level 1s nowadays can easily kill this. Not easily, level 1s can potentially kill this, I should say. And level 2s and level 3s will wreck the shit out of this Yayoi. And yeah, she has Clock Encore, but that results in you taking more damage. And sometimes the extra soul doesn't really help you. Sometimes it can be a downside, especially if your opponent is compressed. Then you actually gaining 1 soul is not really a good thing. So, my opinion, this Yayoi, don't run it. This card is really just made for Yayoi fan decks. So I guess if it's a fan deck card, so you might as well be running it because it's a fan deck, and who really cares? But in a normal deck, don't run it. Next up, we have Amatsukaze, 1/6K uncommon. She combos with the Wind Trigger right here, which is a Climax rare. Ship Girl Destroyer. What she does is when she declares an attack with the Wind Trigger, this card gains +3K, and your opponent cannot encore for the turn. This includes Hand Encore, Clock Encore, Pay 1 Encore, the default Pay 3 Encore, what kind of Encore, any Encore, what have you. So, yeah. And once again, combos with the Wind Trigger. This Amakaze, I don't think it's very good. Anti-Encore at level 1 is nice because a lot of level 1s revolve around Encore, like Angel Beats. What other series do they have? Log Horizon, they could run the 1-0 Shiroi with Clock Encore. Nisekoi has the 1-0 6K Onodera that runs Clock Encore. So a lot of series, just a couple at the top of my head, but a lot of series are dependent on these Clock Encores. And Amakaze, if you play her right, can really ruin your opponents. However, she's only a wimpy 6K. She's not even 6'5", and she's a 1/1 6K on top of that. So she's very weak. And if your opponent is not dependent on Encore, like I would say something like my Love Live deck, it just runs the 1-0 Eddies and the 1-0 Kotoris, no real Encore needed, or ran in the deck, this Amakaze wouldn't do anything. She's just a 1/1 6K. Yeah, her Climax combo bumps her up to 9K, 10K because of the 1K1, but still, Contact Collection has a lot of good Climax combos like the 1-0 Shimakaze Climax combo. They have the uh, Akari green bar, gold bar Climax combo. You could run the Kongo gate Climax combo. Just a lot of good Climax combos in Contact Collection, and I don't think this Amakaze has a slot. I don't think there's enough space for this card to be ran. And without the Climax combo, this card is very, 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 very underpowered. So, too specific and very underpowered without the Climax combo. So, I wouldn't run it. That's all for Tuesday. Okay. Wednesday Sleek. Next up we have this Liz 217k common avatar and weapon. For every avatar or net character you control, this card gains plus 500. So with a full field, she can be a 219k. This other effect is when this card declares an attack, a front attack to be precise, you can pay 1. If you do, choose one of your opponent's character. It loses 1 level until the end of the turn. This card is meh, to be honest. I mean, yeah, sure, it's a 219k, which is like whatever. And its second effect is whatever. You have to pay 1, and you choose one of your opponent's character. It loses 500. It loses 1 level until the end of the turn. So things you can do with this is you can use it in conjunction with the level 0 Liz or the level 1 Suicider Liz. And oops, no, that's my manga site. I'm sure you guys know this card, but I will pull it out anyway. Sword Art Online. Oh, version 2. Liz. Nope. Yeah, this one here. It's a level 1 Suicider if you have 5 or more stock. Whoops. You can use it in conjunction with the level 2 Liz, and you can suicide into level 1s. Or you can suicide into level 2s, which is, nice and all. And you can even use it on your opponent's characters. If they have a level assist, you can target a certain character. It loses 1 level, thus it loses 500 power from a level assist, and you can hopefully kill it. You can also use this late game when you're trying to side for precise damage. You can make a level 1, or you can make a level 2 lose 1 level. That way you can side for 1 if you have a level 3 in front of it. Stuff like that. Pretty specific, and honestly, it's and the reward you get from this card is not that good. So, in my opinion, don't run this card. Next up, we have this Kirito 105k Avatar and Weapon. When he's played from hand to stage, he gains power X until the end of the turn, where X is the number of Avatar or net characters you control times 500. This does include himself, so when you play him, you have a full field. He'll be a 1075 until the end of the turn, which is not bad at all. So, he's one of those generic on play, really strong, and then on defending, he's really weak. Those cards are okay. If you want to run it, go ahead. If you don't, don't feel forced to run this card. Is what I'm trying to say. He's only a common, so you can't really complain. He's a very solid common, so not a bad card, but not a great card. Next up, this Haruka. Oh man, this one is gonna be quite a mouthful. And this card is really amazing. So first off, let's go over this Haruka. 3/2, 10k, double R, music and sweets. When she's placed from hand to stage, look up to X cards from your top of your deck. Add one of them to your hand and discard the remaining cards to the waiting room. X is the number of music characters you control. So if you have a full field, you can look up to top 5. Next up, it climax combos with this gate. When you play the gate, and this card is in the front row, you can pay cost, which is pay 4, discard 1, roll of a leader Haruka, which is this Haruka right here, this 1/1. If you do, all your characters gain the following effect until the end of the turn. When this card declares an attack, deal 1 damage to your opponent. So, as you guys can see, this card is pretty nuts. But let's go on. What the Haruka you have to discard is this one. 116k R, music and sweets. For every character in your opponent's backstage, this card gains plus 500. If you have 3 or more music characters, this card gains 500, and this card cannot be reversed by your opponent's auto effects. Pretty much, this card is immune to level 1 Suiciders. And lastly, once again, the gate itself is a climax rare. To no surprise, it should be a climax rare. So, let's go over this Haruka. I don't think I really have to say much, but I will anyways. As you guys can see, This card is really good because its climax combo is quite devastating. Well, first off, its top check effect helps you accomplish this second task of searching two specific cards. You first need 1/1/1, and then you need the gate. That's two specific cards you need in your hand when you want to play the climax combo. This Haruka, allowing you to search top 5 cards of your deck, helps you accomplish that. So its first effect is very good because of how this card works. Next up, the climax combo itself. Honestly, not too hard to accomplish. I mean, yeah, it's a climax combo, so you need the gate, which is, no surprise. Gate, it comboing with the gate is also another plus because as we all know, gate is a really good trigger. Still, even though with anti-salvage around, it is still the best trigger. So it comboing with the gate is another upside. And the 1/1 itself is not a bad card because at max it can be a 1/1 7/5 that cannot be reversed by your opponent's suicides, which some decks really can't do anything against this. Like my Nisekoi deck wouldn't be able to do anything because the Onodettas are only 1065 at max, and I rely on the 10 Tachibana Suiciders to get over things that I usually can't. And this Haruka is a 1175, and at that point I can't really do anything. I'll have to use other means to kill this card. So Haruka is definitely not a bad card. It's not a bad card on its own. I don't think it's amazing. It's not an amazing 1/1, but it's still a very solid 1/1 in my opinion. So you have to run 4 of this Haruka in conjunction with the level 3 Haruka because you need to have 4. You should be running 4 Haruka so that way you can get the climax off more consistently. The climax combo is a bit heavy because you have to pay 4 on when you play the climax. So Haruka, the level 3 herself, will cost 2, and the climax combo itself will cost 4. So you need 6 stock at the beginning of your turn to get this climax combo off, which is a lot, but I think it's very doable. And if you do get the climax combo off, your opponent should start praying that they'll survive. So in general, the climax combo is very good because once again, like I've stated before in the previous videos, Idolmaster's biggest downfall, in my opinion, in today's meta, is the fact that they lacked a real game ender. And last week we saw the Chihaya, which I still think is a very good game ender, and now we have this Haruka, which is also a very good game ender. So, Bushiroad knows the problem with Idolmaster, the fact that they lack a real game ender, and they're giving the Idolmaster players really good game enders. So this Haruka, no exception, really good card. The gate itself makes it really easy to splash in. The 1/1 by itself is not bad, and if you do get the climax combo off, you have a very good chance of winning. I'm not gonna say you win the game, but you have a very good chance of winning. So, yeah, that is what I'm going to say on this card. I feel like I should be saying more, but there really isn't much else to say. It's a very good card. Next up, man, 23 minutes already, and we still have 2 more days. Anyways, next up is this Kontai card, 2275R, Ship Girl Heavy Cruiser. If you have 4 more other Ship Girls, which is every card in the series, this card loses 1 level in your hand, so it will be a level 1. Its other effect is when you have 2 or more characters with assist, this card gains Hand Encore. It sounds nice because it's a level 1 that attacks for 2 soul, and it has Hand Encore. But keep in mind you must have 2 cards with assist in its name to gain the Hand Encore. And I'm sure many of you guys do know about this card because this card is freaking annoying. Where is this? Hatsukaze. Anti-salvage that Kontai Collection has. This card, however, is a 500 global. Because it's a global, it does not have the text assist in it. So if you want to run Hatsukaze, you can't really have her in the back row, or you're gonna have to run her in conjunction with a different card with another assist. And usually, I believe I usually just see people run the Hatsukaze. So you have to run another assist on top of the Hatsukaze at level 1 for her to gain the Hand Encore to get the most value out of this card. Is it worth it? Maybe. I don't own a Contact Collection deck, so I don't know all the assists at the top of my head. But you know, I know Hatsukaze is it's a staple in Contact Collection. It's one of the reasons why Contact is so annoying. So you have to run another assist with this card, and it still costs 2 at level 1, which is really, which is quite stock intensive. And if your opponent has anti-encore, or if they run Wind Trigger, then it can really playing this card can really help you lose the game. So I don't like this card, and yeah, it can work, I guess, against certain decks that don't have like a Wind Trigger. And this card, since it's a level 2 on the field, it's a level 2. It can't be suicided into, and the fact that if you have 2 assists, then it gains hand encore. It can work, but I personally don't like it. Next up, Thursday's leaks. 1035 Xenon Common. Net and Glasses. She combos with the 2k1, if I remember correctly. Yes, she combos with the 2k1. What she does is she's a 500 global first for Avatar Nets, which is really good. And its other effect is when you play the 2k1, you may pay 1. If you do, choose one of your other characters with Xenon in its name. It gets plus 2k and the following ability until the end of this turn. When this card reverses its opponent in battle, you may draw a card. Once again, the 2k1 is here. I think this Climax combo is pretty good, because first of all, it's a 500 global, which is very nice. Second of all, it combos with the 2k1, which is good because 2k1 breaks even, and it helps you kill things. And that's exactly what this Xenon needs to do. When you play the Climax combo, you pay 1, you give a Xenon 2k, you use the 2k1 on the same Xenon against plus 4k, and giving a card plus 4k usually guarantees a kill. And when you do kill it, you get to draw a card. So in the end, you plus 1. Yeah, this Xenon I think is a good Climax combo. However, do keep in mind you have to target a Xenon. How many good Xenons have we seen? We've seen the 1-0 Xenon that gains 500 per and has Clock Encore. That one's really good. But besides that, and the level 3 Xenon, I guess. But besides those two, I can't really think of a really good Xenon to use this for. So a little specific. And as we see now, SAO has so many good Climax combos. They have the 1-0 Wind Trigger, they have the 2k1 Silica, they have the new Xenon Climax combo. So with all these Climax combos running amok, does this 2k1 Xenon Climax combo have a space for SAO decks? I don't think so. But I still think it's a good Climax combo. So if you want to run a Xenon fan deck, I definitely do think running 4 of each is going to be very good. So I like the Climax combo, but SAO has so many other options, and the fact that you have to target a Xenon, I would leave it for Xenon fan decks, and it's still really good for the Xenon fan decks because it's still a pay 1 plus. Let's go on. More crazy Idolmaster cards. So this one is Thursdays. This is a level 3 as well. 3295 double R, 2 soul, music, and dull. When your other music character declares an attack, this card gains plus 1k. So when your 2 other characters attack, it can be at 3-2-11-5 at max. Next up, when this card reverses its opponent in battle, you may pay cost, which is pay 1, discard this specific Iori, determined to go on stage Iori. If you do, put that character to its owner's clock. Lastly, when this card is front attack, you may look at top card of your deck, then either leave it there or place it to the waiting room. And of course, let's go over the level 0. The combos with is a 0025 common music and dull. When you have one or other fewer characters, all your other character gains plus 1500 power. So Iori, I think this card is pretty good as well. It's only a 3295, but on offense it can be a 3211-5, which is really good. The climax, or it's not a climax combo. The combo is a little specific because you have to discard this Iori. It seems to be a theme with Idolmaster by now. If you guys have not noticed, the level 3s require them to discard a specific card of the same character. So of course this Iori is going to be as 4 of in your decks, and the cost is actually quite it's very low for a clock shoot because it's only pay 1, discard this specific Iori. So it's very light for a clock shoot. However, of course, to balance it, it's very specific because you have to discard this specific Iori. And lastly, the top check effect is it's like the icing on the cake. I think the first 2 effects is already pretty good, but the last effect is like the icing on the cake because it's the third effect is also good as well. Uh, this Iori is it's not very good. It's only good at level 0 because usually at level 0 you only have 1 or fewer other characters. So for example, like if you use the Azusa runner with this card, just have the Azusa in the front and this Iori in the back, you're gonna give your opponent one hell of a time because that runner is gonna be a 4K runner, and that's so annoying. You can't really do anything about that. So having a 4K runner can be very annoying for your opponent to deal with. That's of course if you choose the Azusa as your choice of 3. But that's just one example. So this card is only really good at level 0 because at level 0 that is usually going to be the only time you have 1 or fewer other characters. After level 0 you're usually going to have 2, 4, 3 or 4, 5 characters on the field. And after that this Iori does absolutely nothing. It's just an underpowered 0/0. So the clock shoot is light. You can use this on your opponent's turn because when this card reverses its opponent in battle, so it's like the level 3 Nico, you can use it on your opponent's turn. The cost is light, it's specific but light, and it can reach high power on your own turn, and it also has a top check when you're getting attacked. So I like this Iori. However, with the other game enders that we have seen, like the Haruka and the Chihaya, and you'll see another one on Friday, which I will go over soon. With all these other options we have that Idolmaster has, I don't think this Iori really has a spot for it. Yeah, and it's in green. I don't think green is. I don't remember green being bad. However, I know red and blue are the stable colors. So I don't know. I think since you have all these really good game enders now, like the Chihaya, the Haruka, and you'll see another one on Friday. Does Iori make the cut? Because you should still be running healers in conjunctions with these. So trying to squeeze in the Iori, and the fact that if you want to squeeze in the Iori, you have to run this lackluster level 0. I don't see it happening. So unfortunately, I like the Iori, but I think it's outshined by the other level 3. So yeah, that is my opinion on that. Lastly, for Thursday is another Kontai 1055R. This loses 1 level on stage. However, when you have 2 or more ship girls, it gains plus 1k, so it will be a 1065. Of course, it being a 1065, it must have a downside, meaning that it's a level 0 on the stage. What does that mean? The most obvious one is that it is still susceptible to level 0 suiciders, because it's a level 0 on the field. However, also the fact that it is a level 0 means that your opponent can still side it if they can't kill it and still deal the full amount of soul damage to you. It's probably more beneficial to you as a Kontai player if they do choose to side it, because you still get to keep your character. However, it is still something to keep in mind that they can still side it. So this card I think is good because it's still a 1065, and if your opponent does choose to level 0 suicide into it, you still 1-for-1 with this card, which is still which is still good. So it can still 1-for-1 with level 0s, and the fact that it's a 1065, I think this card is good. So definitely a good card. Friday's leak. First off, this is Asuna 001k common Avatar weapon, 500 global for Avatar nets. As other effect is put this card to rest, choose one of your other characters with Kirito in his name. It gets plus 500 power until the end of the turn. Next up is a 1/1 Kirito, 1k Avatar weapon. He's an assist where he gives 500 in front of him times, I'll just read it. All your characters in front of this gains power plus X, where X is the number of characters with assist you control times 500. His other effect is when he's played from hand to stage, draw a card, then discard a card. I personally... Wait, did I go over this Asuna? I don't think I did. Anyways, yeah, I don't think I did. Anyways, so Asuna 500 global, which is really good. However, its tap ability is not so good because you have to target a specific Kirito, or you have to target a Kirito. And as we have seen by now, there are not that many good Kirito cards. The level 3 sucks. The level 1s aren't very good. The level 0 runner is amazing, but that's the only really amazing Kirito card I can think of. So unfortunate. It's a 500 global, which is good, but the fact that it can only give power to Kiritos makes this card not so good. If you're running a Kirito Asuna deck, which I see many of, then I think this card can be good, depending on your level 1 and 2 lineup. But in general, in normal SAO decks, I don't see this card being ran. Next up is this Kirito. I personally am not a fan of these assist, because one, this costs 1 itself, and 2, you need to run an assist. Globals are usually preferred over assists, but to get the full value of this card, you need to be running an assist. And the fact that this card also costs 1 makes me not like this card as much. And honestly, this card's on-play effect is like whatever. It's just a draw a card and discard a card. If you want to draw a card and discard a card, use the level 0 Yui from the first SAO booster. That card is good. So don't like it. Don't like both of these cards. And both of these cards are 1k power. So if you're up against this Gaia and they use Wing Slayer, then you can start crying, because I would start crying. Next up, another level 3 game ender for Idolmaster. Bushiroad has went all out in giving all the love to Idolmaster, which I think they kind of deserve. Actually no. They should have gave it to Love Live in January, so whatever. Let's go on. 3/2 10k double R 2 soul music and love. When you have 2 or more music characters, this card gains hand encore. Its other effect is quite crazy. When this card declares an attack, reveal the top card of your deck. If that card is a music character, deal X damage to your opponent, where X is the level of that character. And of course, and then lastly, you return the revealed card back to its original position. And of course, damage can be cancelled as per usual. And do keep in mind, climaxes are considered level 0. I'll go over the other 2 cards first, because they kind of work together with the level 3. This 1/1 Miki is 6k, uncommon, music and love, as always. If you have 2 or more characters with Miki in its name, this card gains plus 1k. This card combos with the stock 1 soul. Yes, the red stock 1 soul, Fate of the World. When you play the stock 1 soul, you may pay cost, which is pay 1, discard a climax from your hand. If you do, choose 1 to the other side of the light Miki from your hand and place it to the original border of this card. Can you guys guess what to the other side of the light Miki is? It's the freaking level 3. So this is a 1/3 change to the level 3 Miki. And once again, it combos with the stock 1 soul. So first, I'm just going to go over the level 3 Miki, because the level 3 Miki is not dependent on either the climax or the level 1, unlike the other level 3s for Idolmaster. The level 3 Miki, I think, is it's pretty good. It has hand encore, which is usually meh, but because of its other effect, it bumps up this card. It bumps up the hand encore to really good. Every time this card attacks, you have a potential of dealing 1, 2, or 3 damage, depending on what you show to your opponent. Of course, you do have a chance of missing, because if you hit a level 0, you don't deal any damage. If you hit a climax, you don't deal any damage, and if you reveal an event, you don't deal any damage, because this card specifically has to hit a music character. Of course, you should be running, I would say, 14 to 18 level 0s, so that's a good portion of your deck already, on top of the 8 climaxes you should be running, or you must be running, because if you're not, then you're insane. Let's say you run, I'm going to say you run 15 level 0s, because that's usually what most people run. 15 level 0s, add 8, you're at 23 cards in your deck. Idolmaster has a lot of good events. They have the level 3 heal event, they have level 3 heal event, Man, I can't think of any on top of my head. Well, that one by itself is already really good. So let's say you're running 4 of that heal event. You go from 23 to 27. That's already half your deck that you can miss. So, and if you miss once, this card already kind of loses value because at that point it's a 10k level 3. If you miss twice with this card has done more damage to yourself than has helped you, in my opinion. So this Mickey can be extremely devastating because you can, like, let's say you hit for 1, or you hit for 2, or even if you hit for 3, it's still really good because you might overswing because you can't really control it. However, you can still deal a lot of damage unexpectedly. So this Mickey by itself, it's I don't know what to think of it. It's inconsistent, and if it doesn't go off, I think it does more damage to yourself than good. So I like the idea of this. I don't know. I think Mickey's a cool card, but I personally wouldn't run it. It's a little too inconsistent. I think the Chihaya level 3 and the Haruka level 3 are already really good. So, does squeezing in this Miki, if you're gonna run this Miki, I would run 1 to 2 of this Miki. I wouldn't run 4 of this Miki because at that point I think it's just too much. However, if you're running this Climax combo, then you should definitely be running 4 of this Miki. This level 1 Climax combo is questionable because if you can get it off and your opponent's deck has no way to fight back, then you can kind of just steal the game from them. Because, okay, let's see what this Miki is. First off, it's a 1/1/6k. If you have 2 more Mikis on the field, it gains plus 1k. So, kind of for Miki fan decks. But it doesn't have to be for Miki fan decks. But if you do run this in a Miki fan deck, it's not bad at all because it's a 1/1/7k vanilla, which is not bad, with the optional Climax combo. The Climax combo is very hand intensive because it's not really stock intensive because you pay 1 for the Miki, then when you play the Fate of the World Climax combo, you have to discard another Climax from your hand. It can be any Climax. Then you have to play the level 3 from your hand. So that's 1 hand size from Fate of the World, another Climax from your hand, and lastly you have to pay the level 3 from your hand, and you play it over this level 3, over the level 1 Miki. And in total you pay 2, discard 3, which is very heavy at level 1, but it's very doable for Idolmaster because they have freaking the runner Azusa. The runner Azusa allows, the Idolmaster player to gain a lot of hand size and a lot of stock, because when you have the runner Azusa, you don't really have to clock anymore, but you can still clock to try to dig out the cards you want. And the Azusa is pretty much going to stay all the way until level 1, so you can build a lot of stock with that card. So the Azusa, that's just one example of how you can gain enough hand size and stock to get this Miki off. And if you do get the Miki off at level 1, it has hand encore, so it's going to stick around. And every turn it's going to be burning your opponent for X damage. You don't know how much, but even if it deals 1 damage per turn, it's such a big deal. Your opponent is just going to die so fast, and they might not be able to do anything. Like, let's say you're playing an SAO player. They chose not to run the win combo, because not every SAO player runs the win combo. They are kind of screwed because they can't really do anything about it because it has hand encore. It's 10k base and it's gonna keep burning them. But okay, let's do another example. Maybe something like Nisekoi. Not many Nisekoi decks run the win trigger, and at level 1 you are a sitting duck against this Miki because there's no way the Nisekoi player can hit 10k at level 1, and if they somehow manage to do so, you're just going to get hand encore, and this Miki is just going to keep burning and burning and burning and burning you. At level 2, sure, you can pull out the level 3 Onodeta, but at that point, has the damage been done? Because Nisekoi doesn't run many heals, usually, 1 or 2 heals at most, and if you're rushed too hard by this Miki, it's going to be a very uphill climb. Let's say Log Horizon. Sure, they have the level 3 anti-burn Shiroe, but if you get this card off at level 1, then they're going to be level 3 before they even know it. So, I am personally I'm not a fan of 1, 2, 3 changes. However, this Miki one I think is playable, and it can be very devastating depending on what your opponent is running. And you can run this 1, 2, 3 change. You don't even have to run this in a fan deck. You can run this in a normal deck, to be completely honest. Oh, never mind. You only pay one stock in total because this is stock one soul. So you're only paying one stock and dropping three hand size. Even better. But still, I think I've been ranting about this card long enough. You guys get the idea. If you get this off at level 1 and your opponent has no Wind Trigger or Anti-Encore, they can kiss their ass goodbye. If they do, though, don't run the change. Or if they do run something like, if they do run Anti-Encore slash Wind Triggers, don't change, because you're just going to lose yourself the game. So, in general, the 1, 2, 3 change can be very devastating depending on what your deck your opponent is playing. And 2, without the change, Miki is playable. It's hit or miss, because if you hit 2 level 0s in a row or a climax in a row, then you kind of lost the game. But if you do manage to hit multiple characters in a row, then you can really help yourself win the game. Will this card be used in conjunction with the Haruka level 3 and or the Chihaya level 3? Who knows? We'll have to see. I'm not an Idolmaster player, so for all you Idolmaster players, let me know what your level 3 lineup is going to be. Lastly, another level 3 for Kontai Collection. 3/2 10k double R Ship Girl Battleship Yamato Kai. When I saw this card, I thought it was just a reprint of the first level 1, because look at this. It's like the exact same thing. I thought they just reprinted the card, but it turns out to be something else. So what this card does is on play, you can pay 2. If you do, choose one of your characters. It gains a falling effect until the end of the turn. This ability can only be used once per turn. When the damage of this card is cancelled, deal 1 to your opponent. So Flare Trigger. And this card has Flare Trigger on its own. I think this is a very interesting card. This on play effect is new. We have not seen a card with on play effect like this, and I think it's a very cool and interesting on play effect. Essentially, when you play this card, you can pay an extra 2 and give 2 of your characters Flare Trigger, which can be very devastating for your opponent to deal with. Of course, if you have multiple of these, you play 1 and you target another character. That character has Flare Trigger. You can play another Yamato Kai, give another character plus Flare Trigger, and then go to town. So that's like what, 2, 4, 6, 8 stock. A lot of stock, but somewhat doable. And that's what, one Flare Trigger, 2 Flare Trigger. That's 4 Flare Triggers your opponent's going to be taking, and Flare Trigger is not as devastating as Burn 1 in my opinion. So you might not lose, but still. So in general, this Yamato Kai, it's interesting. I like it, but I think Kantai has better game-ending options. You could just use you can use the Kongo, you can use the Musashi, you can use the Akari, you can use the Haruna even, you can use the Clock Shooters. They have so much game-ending power. Will this Yamato Kai fit into them? I think it will. I think you could run 1 to 2 of it, but I don't know. There's just so many game ending. Will this manage to squeeze in? Because there's also Musashi, but if you're not choosing Musashi as your choice of 3, perhaps this Yamato Kai can be your level 3 game ender for yellow. Maybe she can fill the void that Musashi has left. Who knows? So many game ending that Kantai has, and Kantai has so many options. I think you can run this and be perfectly fine. So I think this Yamato Kai is good, and I think it's playable. And that is the leaks for this week. A very long one. I do apologize, but I don't think I could have got to any shorter. This week had so many interesting cards. Like the Silica is good. I think the Xenon's good. Whatever. Kibiki's whatever. Takane is nice. The art's pretty nice too, but I don't know. The wording on it is a bit iffy. Might just stick to the producer. This one's a good brainstorm. Very good for Death Gun decks. This card's whatever. Yayoi, whatever. Amakusukaze is not that great. Liz, no. Kirito, it's okay. Haruka combo, yes. And lastly, I don't like this card personally. Xenon, I think it's good. Iori, I think it's good, but is outshined. This card is good. No. No. Yes. The change. I don't know how to feel about it. I know my friend Domo, the guy who's going to be opening the boxes for you guys in a couple weeks, is extremely happy about this, and is probably going to be running it, and it's probably going to make my life miserable, and I'm probably going to be running 4 wind triggers when he does, or maybe even 8 wind triggers when he does, just to piss him off, but we'll just have to see. And lastly, Yamato Kai, I think is good. So lots of interesting cards. For any Idolmaster players out there, what do you guys think about the level 3s? What level 3s will you guys be choosing to run? I personally like the Chihaya level 3 over the Haruka, but from what I see, people are saying, I see many people like the Haruka over the Chihaya, but I like the Chihaya better than the Haruka. But let me know what you guys think. Do you guys like the Haruka, or do you guys like the Chihaya, or do you plan to run both? Or do you guys like the Iori level 3 better? Or do you guys are just going to go balls out with the Miki? Or are you going to run a combination of the game enders? So, yeah, I'm very curious on what you guys are going to run for the Idolmaster game enders. And, yeah, that's all I have to say for this video. This video has been very long. And until next time.